Comfort is the enemy because it tells you you're okay when you're not. It whispers lies in your ear and convinces you that you've done enough. You've done enough. You've earned the right to coast. It makes mediocrity look like success and weakness feel like peace. But comfort is not your friend. It's the enemy of discipline. It's the slow rot that sets in when you stop testing yourself. When you stop putting yourself in situations that demand your full focus, your full effort, your full intensity. The second you let comfort win, you stop growing, you start shrinking, you start losing the edge. You need to fight through life's battles. Every day you have a choice to do the hard thing or the easy thing, to embrace the discomfort or avoid it. And the path you choose tells the truth about who you are becoming. People, they'll wait around for motivation to strike, but the ones who get ahead are the ones who move without it. They don't wait until it feels right. They train when it hurts. They show up when no one claps. They run headfirst into suffering, not because they enjoy it, but because they know it's the only way through. You want to get through BUDS. You want to be a SEAL? Then you better get familiar with discomfort. You better start seeking it out, not just physically, but mentally. You have to train your mind to operate in chaos, to stay calm in the storm, to make decisions when your body is screaming, your lungs are burning, and your heart feels like it's about to stop. No one gets through BUDLs on talent. No one finishes Hell Week on hype. You get through it by building the habit of facing what most people run from. You get through it because you've trained yourself to suffer with purpose. Discomfort sharpens the mind. It makes you aware. When you suffer voluntarily, you learn about yourself. You see your limits, and then you push past them. You meet your weakness, and then you crush it. You confront your excuses, and then you bury them. Every cold plunge, every brutal workout, every uncomfortable decision is a rep in mental toughness, a rep in grit, a rep in becoming someone who doesn't fold under pressure. Look around at the world. It's soft. People are addicted to comfort, to easy food, to easy entertainment, easy validation. And they wonder why they feel hollow, why they're lost, why they break down when life gets real. It's because they've never trained for it. They've never intentionally made themselves suffer. So when suffering comes without warning, they crumble. That's not going to be you, because you're going to embrace the hard path now. You're going to start looking for ways to grow in pain, to learn in discomfort, to lead through pressure. Every morning you wake up, you choose the standard, you choose to be average or exceptional, not with your words, but with your actions, your habits, your rituals. If you roll over and hit snooze, that's a decision. If you skip your training, that's a decision. If you lie to yourself and say you'll start tomorrow, that's a decision. And every one of those decisions adds up. They shape the man you're becoming. BUDS doesn't care about your potential. It exposes your preparation. And if you haven't been preparing through pain, through discomfort, through self-imposed suffering, it's going to show. Voluntary suffering doesn't mean you hate yourself. It means you love who you're becoming too much to stay the same. It means you value discipline over ease. It means you're willing to look weak in the short term to be unbreakable in the long term. It means you don't need external validation to stay consistent. Your standard is internal. Your reason is deeper. You're not doing this for applause. You're doing it because you know life is coming with weight, with pressure, with pain. And when it does, you'll be ready every time you step into the cold water, every time you run that extra mile, every time you choose work over comfort. You're becoming someone the world can't break. Someone who doesn't fold when others do. Someone who gets stronger under pressure. That kind of strength doesn't come from talent. It doesn't come from genetics. It comes from choosing the hard road on purpose over and over again until it becomes your nature, until discipline is who you are, not just something you try to do. Discipline is not about how you feel. It's not about waiting for the perfect time. Yeah, it's not about being in the mood. Discipline is about doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Motivation is weak. It's a temporary emotion, a spark that fades the moment life gets uncomfortable. You can't rely on it. You can't build anything lasting on it. If you wait to be motivated, you'll wait forever. Discipline is different. Discipline is cold. It's calculated. It's ruthless. Discipline doesn't care how tired you are, how hard your day was, or what kind of excuses your mind is whispering to you. Discipline executes. Discipline shows up. Discipline gets the job done. Every time the difference between the people who succeed and the people who quit is not talent. It's not luck. It's not inspiration. It's discipline. It's the willingness to do the work on the days you hate it. It's getting up before the sun because you said you would. It's putting in the reps when no one's watching, when your muscles ache, when your mind tells you to stop. Discipline is brutal, but it's fair. It doesn't play favorites. It rewards those who stick to the standard. It gives power to those who act without emotion. You don't win in combat by hoping. You win by training harder than the enemy. You don't pass BUDLs because you want it bad. You pass because you've trained your body and your mind to keep moving no matter how bad it gets. Discipline is what separates the ones who ring the bell from the ones who push through when the cold water hits, when the instructors are screaming, when your legs are cramping and your lungs are gasping. Discipline is what keeps your feet moving. Motivation would have left you long ago. But discipline is built for the storm. It starts small. It starts when you choose not to hit snooze. It starts when you meal prep instead of ordering junk. It starts when you say no to distractions and yes to the grind. Every one of those small moments is a rep that builds mental armor, a rep that forges your identity. The goal is not to feel ready. The goal is to do it anyway, to move when you don't want to act when you'd rather rest. That's the edge. That's what gives you the advantage. Because while others are waiting to feel inspired, you're already 10 steps ahead, locked in, focused, prepared. Most people live reactive lives. They do what they feel like doing. They coast when it's convenient. They grind when they're hyped up. That's not how warriors are made. Warriors are built in silence and repetition and discomfort. Discipline is the steel that shapes them. Discipline doesn't come naturally. It's not easy, but every time you choose it, you grow stronger. Every time you override your feelings and act on your standard, you become more dangerous because now you're not controlled by emotion. You're not dependent on external energy. You operate on principle. You move with purpose. If your actions are tied to your emotions, your results will be unstable. Some days you'll be sharp. Some days you'll fall apart. But when your actions are tied to your discipline, it doesn't matter how you feel. You execute regardless. That's how you become consistent. That's how you earn trust, respect, and momentum. The ones who last are the ones who master discipline. The ones who train when no one's watching. The ones who do the work in the dark. That's where real strength is built. Not in the moment of applause, but in the grind when no one is looking. BUDLs doesn't test your motivation. It destroys it. It chews it up and spits it out. And when that happens, the only thing you have left is your discipline, your internal standard, your ability to act without needing to feel good. Every second of that training will break you down if your foundation is built on emotion. But if your foundation is built on discipline, you'll stand, you'll push, you'll survive what others can't because you've trained for this. You've practiced not quitting. You've drilled it into your system until it became who you are. The beauty of the discipline is that it puts control back in your hands. You're not a slave to your mood. You're not at the mercy of outside influences. You become someone who does what needs to be done no matter what. And that kind of person is unstoppable when the pressure hits, when chaos explodes around you. You don't magically rise to the occasion. That's a lie people tell themselves to feel better of not preparing. You fall to your level of training. You sink to the habits you've drilled. You react based on what you've repeated 1,000 times before. In the moment of crisis, you don't suddenly become something greater. You become exactly what you've built yourself to be. That's why the reps matter. That's why the small things matter. Because when it all breaks down, the only thing that holds is what you've made unshakable through discipline, repetition, and relentless commitment. People fantasize about how they'll act under pressure. They imagine themselves staying calm, being sharp, making the right moves. But that fantasy doesn't matter when reality hits. When you're exhausted, soaking wet, freezing, and there's sand in your eyes and water in your lungs, your body isn't going to listen to your imagination. It's going to follow its programming. If you've trained yourself to push past limits, you'll push. If you've trained yourself to fold, you'll fold. That's the brutal truth. The battlefield reveals preparation. It exposes the lies. It shows what's real ambiguous. When your heart is pounding and your body is trembling, there's no room for guesswork. There's no time to get ready. You either are or you aren't. You either kept the standard in the dark or you didn't. That's why the mindset must be trained before the moment comes. You can't rely on talent. You can't depend on potential. Those things fade. What doesn't fade is what you've earned in sweat and silence and suffering. You put in the work when it's boring. You stay focused when it's repetitive. You show up when the fire's gone. That's how you build a level of training you can fall to and survive. It's about systems. Discipline isn't some mystical force. It's repetition. You drill the basics until they're instinct.
Yeah.
You master the fundamentals until they're part of your identity.
Yeah.
You don't think, you act. You don't hesitate. You move. That's what separates those who survive under pressure from those who break. The ones who collapse never expected to. But they didn't train. They didn't harden themselves. They thought they'd rise. They thought adrenaline would carry them. But adrenaline fades. Stress clouds your thinking. The only thing that cuts through that fog is the muscle memory of hard, focused, intentional training. Your body follows your mind, and your mind follows your habits. If your habits are soft, your mind will be soft. If your mind is soft, your body will quit. That's why you train like your life depends on it, because one day it might. You don't get to pick the moment you'll be tested. It shows up unified. It doesn't give warnings. It doesn't care if you're tired. And when it comes, it's too late to build the foundation. All you can do is fall to the level you've already built. So you build high, you train deep, you stack layer after layer of discipline. So when everything else fails, most people don't train that way. Most people train until they get it right once. That's not enough. You train, you can't get it wrong. You train until excellence is your default setting, until precision is your instinct. That's what you fall to under pressure. And that's why BUDLs doesn't care about words, your golds, your hype. It cares about your habits, about your preparation, about your truth. Because you can fake a lot in life, but you can't fake pressure. You fake pain. You can't fake fatigue. Either you've trained for it or you haven't. Everything matters. The reps you do. The way you talk to yourself, the effort you give when it's cold, dark, and no one's around. That's what you fall to. You fall to your level of character. You fall to your level of mental toughness. You fall to the drills, the practices, the choices you've made when quitting was easy. The SEALs who make it don't rise. They fall to an elite level of training, of grit, of ownership, because that's what they built long before the storm came. So you train like it matters. You rehearse the standard like your life is on the line. Because someday, in the middle of chaos, pain, fear, and exhaustion, it will be. And when that moment hits, you won't become something more. You'll become exactly what you've trained to be. Leadership isn't a title. It's not a rank. It's not something given. It's something taken. And it starts with ownership, real ownership, not pointing finger, making excuses, not but blaming the weather, the system, the team, or your past. Leadership begins the moment you stop outsourcing responsibility and start saying, this is on me. Every mistake, every setback, every shortfall, you own it. Because if it's on you, then you can fix it. If it's your fault, then it's your fight. And when you take that level of ownership, you gain control. You gain power. You stop reacting and start leading the team's leadership isn't a suggestion. It's survival. If you don't take ownership of your gear, your plan, your team, and yourself, people can die. That's the weight of it. And that weight isn't just on the battlefield, it's in life. You want to lead your family, your crew, your business. Then start by leading yourself. If you can't take command of your own mind, your own emotions, your own discipline, then you're not ready to lead anyone else. People talk about leading others, but they won't even wake up on time. They want to give orders, but they can't give themselves simple directions and follow through. That's not leadership. Means doing what needs to be done, especially when it sucks. It means setting the standard and living it. It means being accountable without needing to be reminded. When the mission goes sideways, you don't look around, you look in the mirror, you ask what you missed, what you failed to communicate, what part of the failure you own, because the people following you are watching. They're learning from how you respond to pressure, to pain, to adversity. If you crowd crack, if you lead with fear, they'll follow with fear. But if you lead with calm, with clarity, with accountability, they'll rise. Ownership is what turns a victim into a leader. It's what separates the complainers from the competitor. Most people wait for someone to fix it. Our leaders fix it themselves. They don't need permission. They need perfect conditions. They take the first step. They solve the problem with what they have. They step into the chaos and bring order, even if they're still bleeding, still tired, still figuring it out. That's leadership. And it starts long before anyone calls you a leader. It starts when no one's watching. It starts in the small choices you make over and over to take responsibility for your time, your attitude, your focus. BUDS breaks people who haven't learned ownership, because you can't hide. You can't shift blame. You're exposed physically, mentally, emotionally. If you're weak, it shows. If you're unprepared, it shows. If you quit, it's on you. No excuses, no second chances. It's brutal, but it's honest. And in that environment, the only way to survive is to own everything: your hydration, your rest, your pace, your form, your teammates. You lead by being the one who always takes charge, always steps up, always holds the line, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Ownership is freedom. The moment you take full responsibility, you stop being controlled by circumstances. You stop waiting for others to act. You become proactive. You become dangerous, because now nothing is outside your control. You take losses as lessons. You take failures as fuel. You stop whining and start working. That mindset is rare. Most people are prisoners to their excuses. They hand over their power to things they can't control. But not you. You lead from within. You drive your own standard. And when others start to follow, it's not because you told them to. It's because they saw your example and they wanted to rise to it. You want to lead in combat, in life, in business. Then don't wait to be put in charge. Be in charge of yourself, of your thoughts, your actions, your discipline. Lead with your presence, with your work ethic, with your ability to stay calm when everything else is on fire. Leadership is tested in pressure. It's revealed in suffering. It shows up in the moments when quitting looks easy and staying in the fight looks impossible. That's when real leaders rise. Not because someone made them, but because they chose to own the moment and rise anyway. You lead from the front. You do the hard things first. You own the results. You don't pass off blame or duck responsibility. You set the tone with how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you act when no one is looking. That's the way to leadership. That's the cost. And if you're not willing to own your pain, your path, your purpose, then you're not ready for the responsibility. Leadership doesn't begin when you're appointed. It begins when you decide you're done waiting, done blaming, and ready to lead no matter what it takes.